Champions League and top of the Premier League. Can't ask for more.
Well, I actually prefer the way we're playing because I think we are far more defensively strong this season than we were last season. Last season we were playing thrilling attacking football, but I always felt we were a little bit fragile at the back, particularly when we lost Saliba at the end of the season. I think that cost us the league. So, I think the real key to this has been Declan Rice, who's been absolutely sensational since he joined us, just from the get-go, really. But also, you look at Saliba and you look at Gabriel at the back, Zinchenko. We've still got Timber to come back, who's obviously a serious right back. And you look at the game the other night against Lens, we lost away to them. So this is a good team. And we absolutely destroyed them at the Emirates. But 6 different players scored. And I've got to hand it to Arteta on 2 things, which I've criticised.
You're handing it to him, but win the league and the Champions League.
World-class striker.
Both this season.
I still think that is the one missing.
And they can have job for a couple of years.
City, as long as they've got Haaland fit and raring, I think that gives them the edge. But, and it's an important but, we've got a lot of players in this team now that can score goals. From Saka to Martinelli to Odegaard.
No replacement for Saka, but no bench.
And, Arteta's clearly taken a view that you can win a league if you're defensively strong by having a lot of players in your team that can score goals. You're not reliant on one main world-class striker. And he may be right. I also have to give him credit for persevering with Kai Havertz, who I think most Arsenal fans would have shipped out about 10 days ago on the basis that nothing we've seen so far was any different to what Chelsea fans had seen for 3 years. It was like, why have we spent 67 million quid on this guy? Havertz, once he scored that goal the other day, the crucial goal to get a famous 1-0 win away for the Arsenal, I watched the crowd reaction. 2 of my sons were in the Arsenal room, and they said it was absolutely electric. And you just see with Havertz against Lens that he's got his gander up, and he's beginning to play in a system that Arteta clearly envisaged for him, that includes him, and he's beginning to score goals and play a lot better. So, again, credit to Arteta. I think he's got a plan. I think he's executing it. He wants to execute it.
Win the league and the Champions League.
And we are top of our group in the Champions League. We couldn't really ask for more. And it may be that Arsenal fans like me who continue to try and find some fault in Arteta because we're so desperate to win the league and know we choked it last year, I've got to sit back and go, let him do his thing.
Piers, I've got to ask you about the transfer window coming up. I'm sure lots of clubs now will be looking at January to say, well, can we strengthen certain areas of their teams? But Arsenal's point of view, is it Ivan Toney is the priority or a striker?
I think so. I think we need another. I still think we need a world-class striker. I think that Jesus has a brilliant heat map. He's a fantastic footballer. He puts incredible effort in, and he will score goals. He's never going to score 25 goals a season or anything like it. I think Tony is a natural goal scorer. He's a predatory goal scorer. We don't really have that. I don't think Eddie Nketiah is ready yet. I think he may become that player, but I think we've seen him very dominant in games against lesser teams, but he disappears in a lot of the bigger games. That's not his fault. It's just, I think, a lack of experience, but I think he will get there. But I think at the moment, if you ask most Arsenal fans, what is it we're missing? I think they would say, look, we're strong defensively. Arteta, for better or worse, and I think he's probably proven this point as well here with Ray, the goalkeeper. I think he believes in him. He thinks he's a footballing goalkeeper. That's what Arteta wants, and I can see that. I think that he's got a brilliant defence now. He's got a very strong midfield. He's got some brilliant wide attacking players. We just don't have that guy. I mean, you think, Ray, about all the strikers. When you were playing for Arsenal in the years we won 3 titles, from Nicolas Anelka, Ian Wright, Dennis Bergkamp, Thierry Henry, Robin van Persie, players of that calibre, we don't have one of those. And I think if we had one of those, then I think we've got an absolutely great chance of not just winning the Premier League, of winning the Champions League. Why shouldn't we? We've just made a statement this week of real intent, and I think we have got a squad that can compete for the Champions League.
Here, do you think Arsenal are City's biggest challenge for the Premier League, or do Liverpool come into that?
I would say that City are our biggest challenge to the Premier League. Al, I would rephrase it. I would say that we are favourites. We are top of the league, not City. They've lost twice as many league games as we have this season. Fact. And I don't think that they are as good because of the players they let go at the end of last season as they were last season as a squad. Just my personal view. and I think the results are bearing that out. So I think that we are favourites, but I do think, and I'm sure Ray, I mean, you'll have a view on this, but I just feel we've got one position to fill. The transfer window will open in a month. Let's get in there. Let's spend big. Let's get that other striker. And then if you've got a top striker, you've got Jesus, you've got Nketiah, and you've got all our wide players and a really strong midfield and a strong defence and a goalkeeper who's now beginning to play with real confidence, you've got to look at Arsenal and say, well, who's going to beat us?
Piers, tell me, I'm looking forward to hearing this one. You've sat down with tennis superstar Nick Kyrgios in an interview that airs tonight on Talk TV. Mental health problems, I believe. You know, we know he's got a short fuse, but we're now understanding perhaps why.
It became an addiction of pain and you know, I just didn't like. I hated myself. I hated waking up and being Nick Kyrgios. I hated going to places and tournaments and no one actually wanted to talk to me at face value. They just wanted me to be the entertainer or the crazy Nick Kyrgios. So I didn't feel like who I actually was of any worth, and it just got out of control. But then, you know, I somehow dug myself out of the hole. So nothing you say on Twitter can faze me, Piers. Nothing.
That is very obvious, actually. What also came clear was that Andy Murray saw these marks on your arms, and he reached out to you, didn't he? How important was that?
Yeah, Andy was always a big supporter of me. As soon as I came on the tour, he kind of saw a work in progress, I think, and he always tried and took me under his wing. And then he realised later in my career that I don't think I was coachable or could, you know, I was on my own path. But he was always someone that was looking out for me and wanted the best for me. So yeah, he saw it and he said, like, what's that on your arm? And it was pretty bad at that stage. When, you know, these are people in the locker room. So I've been in the locker room and people would be able to see myself harm. So I could only imagine what people would think when they were actually versing me on the tennis court. They're like, wow, this guy is mentally in a storm at the moment, and he's still trying to play. And it would have been alarming for some of these players to see. And Andy was saying, look, you should. Obviously, he was trying to give me advice on it, but I was just so stuck in my ways at that time that I didn't listen. And obviously, I'm very thankful. If he ever watches this, I'm sure Kyrgios and Piers Morgan, I'm sure he's going to tune in at some stage. So yeah, I thank him a lot.
Well, I tell you what, Piers, he sounds a real nice guy there. You know, we've seen the tantrums on the tennis court, but you listen to him there, and he sounds highly intelligent.
I got to say, I absolutely loved it, and I've had a lot of Twitter spats with Mr. Kyrgios over the years. In fact, last summer when he was raging away at Wimbledon, I declared him douche of the day, douchebag of the day, which he thought was pretty rich coming from me. So we had a lot of entertaining banter at the start of the interview, going back over our rather checkered Twitter history together. But when we got into the more serious stuff, he had incredible self-awareness. He was extraordinarily honest. And it was a fascinating insight into a guy who, at the age of 20, came out of nowhere to become one of the biggest stars in tennis, but was suffering these extraordinary issues off the court, drinking huge amounts, taking drugs, cutting himself, self-harming, feeling suicidal, and yet still performing at a very high level. And he was just extraordinarily honest. And I really liked him. I thought he was very open, very warm, very funny, very self-reflective. It's a great interview. It's one of those ones you watch it and you think, wow, I did not think he'd be like that. Yeah. And I ended up saying, I've got to be honest, Nick, you know, I think you and I could be mates now. We're going to go and have a pint when he's next in London. So it just goes to show you can never judge the proverbial book by its cover, chap.
No. Well, Piers, listen, good luck at the weekend with the Arsenal. Look forward to that tonight. And it's, as always, a pleasure, mate. Thank you very much for joining us.
Great to see you guys. All the best.
Thank you. Piers Morgan there, so Nick Kyrgios.